Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Things That Piss Me Off in Movies, where today we're going to be talking about 1997's Airbud. Before we watch the clip that pisses me off, let's talk about Airbud. Airbud is a movie about, you guessed it, Airbud. Airbud is a dog named Buddy. Airbud Buddy. Buddy is a very talented dog played by a very talented dog named Buddy. So, Buddy is Airbud. Got it? Great. So, Buddy slash Airbud is a clown, and he works with a human clown named Norm. And Norm is the worst. Norm is terrible. Norm abandons Airbud, despite the fact that Airbud is the only part of his clowning act that anyone seems to enjoy. And he just kind of dumps his cage out on the side of the road. Or I guess it technically falls out of the back of his truck and maybe he doesn't notice. I don't know. He abandons Airbud. Josh is a boy that has recently moved to Seattle, Washington, and is lonely and has no friends, but he does have a dead father. Josh finds Airbud, and the two of them quickly become friends after they realize that they both like playing basketball. Airbud can play basketball, if I haven't said that before. Anywho, eventually Josh gets on the basketball team, and then Airbud gets on the basketball team, and everyone's having a great time. Eventually, Josh brings Airbud home, and Josh is like, "Hey mom, can I have this Airbud?" And Josh's mom goes, "You know what? Yes, you can, because it's Christmas, because Airbud is a Christmas movie, and now, Josh, you are the rightful owner of Airbud, so saith me, Josh's mom." Anywho, one day at a basketball game, the news is recording a dog playing basketball, and Norm sees this on the news and is upset, and I think a steak falls out of his mouth or something. So he goes to pay Josh's mom a visit. And let's watch the clip.
Oh. Sorry to disturb you. Name's Norm Snively. I believe you got my dog.
What?
My dog. You know, old Blue. Here. There's a picture of him. It's him and me. You see, I'm a clown by profession. Maybe you'd like to see his papers.
Josh. No!
Blue? Just, no, you're coming home with Daddy.
No! You can't Josh! Honey, Josh, there's nothing that we can do. We've got papers. He's my dog! Please, sir, can we pay you?
Look, lady, I just want my dog back, okay?
He hates you! He hates you! Baby, it's okay.
I'll tell you what, kid. On your next birthday, me and the dog will come out. We'll do a show for you cheap.
It's okay. John!
One of the things that pisses me off is that this scene kind of assassinates the character of Josh's mom, because before this, she's been presented as a relatively savvy person who's, if nothing else, attuned to the emotions of a child and can read Josh, her own son. So when she asks, "What's the name of this dog?" and the answer she gets is, Green. Old Green as the name of the dog, and it doesn't raise any red flags, we have lower Josh's mom's brain power dramatically because she fell for this ridiculous lie that not even Josh, a child, would fall for. What's even worse about this, though, is that if we take the scene of Josh's mom finding the costume scrap, we totally minimize the issues in Norm's arrival and lie. Let's take a look. The costume scrap is clear visual proof that Airbud belongs to Norm. So if we put the costume shred scene before Norm's arrival, we recontextualize that arrival. Now, the audience and Josh's mom sees a weird clowny costume scrap underneath Josh's pillow. Then Airbud stuff happens. Then a stranger shows up to Josh's house and talks to Josh's mom. He says Airbud is his dog and acts really weird, but he presents a picture of Airbud in the same costume that the mother and the audience saw earlier. Now the mom character knows that she needs to return the dog to its rightful owner, and her hands are tied. Despite her love for Josh and Airbud, she makes the tough decision to give Airbud back to Norm. Contrast this with the way the film presents this issue. The once wise mom character falls for the obvious old blue lie, and Norm says he has Airbud's papers. The papers are something that could probably prove Norm's ownership of Airbud, but they probably won't say Old Blue on them because he just came up with that name 8 seconds ago. And even if Norm's papers did say Old Blue on them, the audience hasn't seen them before, and this information is coming out of nowhere. Putting the costume scrap before Norm's arrival makes for clearer visual drama because it shows the audience the scrap and that the mom sees the scrap. So when it's time to prove that Norm owns Airbud, we get to pay off the costume scrap and use it as proof of Norm's ownership. This version, in my license to be correct about movies opinion, is the better version because we are setting up Josh's mom getting a clue about the origins of Buddy. She is finding this costume scrap, and then later she sees Norm bringing a photo of Airbud in this costume scrap. That is evidence of possible Norm ownership of Airbud. But the film doesn't present it that way. The film says, hey, let's have this scene where Norm shows up, makes the most fake lie of all time, then kidnaps Airbud in front of the mom and she does nothing. And then later she's sad when she finds a piece of costume that maybe she knows is part of Airbud's old clown costume, but does she? Or is it just a random scrap? What I'm trying to get at here is that film is a sequential art. The order that we watch the clips matters. For an example of that, look over here if you're a fan of 70s sci-fi mass media drivel, and look over here if you're a super snob de film. In these clips, we see Airbud click some buttons and then a thing happened. Because we saw Airbud click the buttons first and then we saw a thing happening, our brain fills in the gap, and despite the fact that these are from two different movies, we interpret it as Airbud activating either the Death Star or Robot Hell, depending on your tax bracket. We gather meaning both from each clip individually, but we also gather meaning from the clips in conjunction. Gathering meaning from the clips in conjunction is something called the Kuleshov effect. Because meaning is also gathered from the conjunction of images, the order we display these images matters. If we see the Death Star go off or Robot Hell rise, and then Airbud clicks some buttons, we don't have the same interpretation of causality as we did last time, even though the images are exactly the same. This is a very genteel and long-winded way to say that this is a thing that pisses me off in movies. Order matters, film is a sequential art, Kuleshov effect, bam, look at you, learning all these things. Some final thoughts. Josh's mom Did you think he lost the costume scrap under his pillow and that by putting it next to a photo of his dead dad, you're helping him find it? Or do you think that by putting the costume scrap next to a photo of his dead dad, you're kind of front-loading the grief process here? Do you even know that it's part of Airbud's costume? Did you, because you look really sad, even though you gave Josh's dog away with no evidence to a random stranger. That could have been me. I could have walked up to Josh's mom and been like, hey, that's my dog, Old Green. Give me Airbud, please. I want to go play in the dog NBA or something. I don't know. Join us next time where we'll be talking about police brutality as presented in RoboCop and Jackie Chan's Police Story 1 and 2.
Can't play.
He's right. Ain't no rules said the dog can't play basketball.